good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching WOD right here on the Boom Broadcast Network. Want to thank you for tuning in. Want to give a shout out. Want to thank everybody for tuning in to all the shows on Boom Broadcast throughout the whole week. We appreciate you guys and ladies tuning in to everything we put out right here on the Boom Broadcasting channel. I also want to give a special shout out to everybody on Boom Broadcast who has traveled over to Studio 67 NCC to watch the Grit and Grind High School Football Podcast Show. Thank you for tuning in and learning about Eastern North Carolina and the Carolinas football over when it comes to high school. We want to definitely thank you for tuning in today. Also, big shout out to everybody who tuned in right after Out of Pocket went off air. Within that hour break, you jump right back on my Twitter, Sports with Luke, and on my Instagram, Grit and Grind Podcast NC, to watch the Season 2 Grit and Grind Friday night game night presented by Boom Broadcasting live on my Twitter and my Instagram for the opening segment and the closing segment. Thank you for tuning in today. But hey, big shout out, much love for y'all tuning in. Just tuning in about Eastern Carolina football and learning what we got over here in the Carolinas with high school football. So much happened in wrestling. We're on the all-in weekend. This is the big show for AEW. You know, this is their WrestleMania. If it was WCW, their Starrcade. NWA, their Starrcade. This is it right here for them. This is what they have been preparing for. They have been putting storylines out, getting us ready for this Sunday morning for All In that will be held in Wembley Stadium. So that, hey, once again, they're going overseas, and gotta give a shout out, you know. And I was watching the nightcap, and then I was on the nightcap, and we were talking about how overseas crowds, whether it's England, Wales, whether it's Scotland, whether it's Puerto Rico, when they go overseas, Saudi Arabia, when they go overseas, whether it's WWE, AEW, the fans over there, because they don't get these live shows that we're so used to being given on any Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night, Saturday for a premium live event with WWE, Sunday for a premium live event with AEW. We're so used to getting it that we just come to show like, hey, we're here. But when they go overseas, the fan base from when they walk in to the final bell is just explosive every minute of the show. And it gives you a good surge of energy watching it from the house like, man, I should be there. I still talk about the Puerto Rico show, the Paris show that WWE put on. Those two shows right there, I mean, those fans were in it from when they got in their seats to the final bell. You could have had them in that arena for 6 hours, and I don't think they would have lost not one drop of momentum and excitement that they had watching those shows unfold right in front of them. So we'll be talking about that in a little bit because we got some more things we want to cover right here on WOD. But the first thing we want to cover is something new I want to add. I want to try this. We're going to see how it works. If you guys and girls like it, drop in the comment box, and we'll keep doing it. But it's something I just want to try. We always talk about, hey, I grew up in that golden era of the territory days. I had those VHS tapes that Granny and Uncle Johnny used to put on Saturday morning to make me watch, so I would either watch wrestling so I wouldn't be running around the house acting wild. We're going to jump back in the time machine, and let's go to 1989, April the 2nd. Some of the fans remember that was the years. Some of them were like, what happened back then? Well, not tell my age on WOD, but if you know, then if I just tell you I grew up in the territory days, you know that I was somewhere around watching this live. But with Sika and Alpha down from the Samoa SWAT team, I thought I would definitely jump into the time machine to go watch a territorial match that they had in WCW NWA. That was before WCW was just getting started and pulling away from Jim Crockett. Ted Turner was starting to make that turn to start going into his own. The territories were starting to fold. But this is like one of the last combined pay-per-views they did together before Ted Turner made that right turn and said, I'm going to take WCW, I'm going to buy the NWA, I'm going to buy the belt, and I'm going to run my own promotion. But in this match right here on April the 2nd, 1998 in the Louisiana Superdome, 5,300 people attended this show. It was Clash of the Champions. I said, what better to do Then to go watch a Clash of the Champions. Clash of the Champions to us in the NWA territory days was what we had in the 90s. Once again, telling my age, what we had in the 90s that WWF ran with In Your House. They did the premium live events on pay-per-view. I'm going to tell you a funny story before I talk about this match. Back then on pay-per-view, back in the late 80s, early 90s, and even in the mid-90s, late 90s, you could watch the pay-per-view, but it wasn't in color. You just got a grayscale scene and audio, and it would blink. And I remember my mom like, boy, that thing's going to hurt your eyes. 20 years later, your eyes are going to be hurt because all these pay-per-views I watched on the pay-per-view channel that you could watch for free. You just didn't have no color. So, everything that you saw, if Paul Orndorff came out, you saw Paul Orndorff's name on the screen. If Ricky the Dragon Steamboat came out, you saw Ricky the Dragon. You got the audio. It just was grayscale. And it would blink sometimes, but hey, it was free. And if you was a true fan like me, you won't pay 50, 60, $60. You won't ask your mom for 50, $60 to buy the pay-per-view because you want a new Nintendo game or Super Nintendo game or a Sega Genesis game. So you weren't doing that because you wanted that new game. You wanted the best game to come out, which was WWF Royal Rumble Sega Genesis. Man, that was a killer before Nintendo 64 No Mercy came out. So you weren't doing that. That's what you were doing. Not unless you were like my neighbor next door that had to hook up with the cable box that he got the pay-per-views free, that we would have to beg him, hey, because he didn't watch wrestling. He was an older guy. He didn't watch wrestling, so we would have to beg him like, hey, look, damn, the WCW pay-per-view, man, the WWF pay-per-view, can we come over there and watch the wrestling from 7 to 10? Can we have a sleepover at your house? And he was like, yeah. But, we had to end up throwing $5, $10 to him just to watch it. Everybody's got a gimmick. Everybody's got a price against. I was yours in the favor of the $1 million man. But that's what we would do. So I wanted to go back watch this match because I wanted to pay homage to the Samoa SWAT team. Both of them now are gone on and definitely going on the Infamil right now. So I wanted to definitely watch that. And it was a good one because you got the Samoa SWAT team with Paul Lee Dangerous when he was not Paul Heyman, it was Paul Lee Dangerously in WCW back then. Versus another one of my favorite teams back then, the Midnight Express. So I looked up Samoa SWAT team, Midnight Express, Paul Heyman when it was Paul Lee Dangerously, and Jim Cornette, all on the same TV in the same match at one time. I mean, you could not pick a better match for me to jump in the time machine to go watch than everybody I like in the ring at one time. I didn't have to watch several matches. If you lead up for this match, and I went and watched some of the build-up to it just so I could make sure I still remember the build-up. I kind of remembered it very vaguely, but I said, let me just watch some build-up to it. Paul Lee Dangerously had brought back the original Midnight Express to the WCW and WA territory. Jim Cornette was managing the new Midnight Express, which was Beautiful Bobby and Stan. So, with the original coming back, they had a little war of who's the Midnight Express they went through. So, after the new Midnight Express beat the original Midnight Express, Paul Lee Dangerously left again. But he kept saying he wanted to get his revenge back on the Midnight Express because he know that they were a fake Midnight Express. They're not the original Midnight Express. You hurt the original Midnight Express. They're at home healing up. So he brings his other team to the WCW and WA territory, the Samoan SWAT team. A lot of people knew about them because they were already working the territories in Minnesota, in New York, had been on some WWF shows, with Captain Lou Albano, had been on some of those shows. But, a lot of people down south did not know who the Samoan SWAT team was. From that great wrestling dynasty family, the Anoa'i family, pretty much, Peter Hachi, Peter Maivia, from that family bloodline. So this was a good match, and the Samoan SWAT team ended up winning. They took Paul Lee Dangerously's phone, hit Beautiful Bobby in the head, pinned him for the 1, 2, 3, and they would go on the feud later on. But this is definitely one of the matches when I jumped in the time machine I wanted to watch. So I encourage you, go back, find Clash of the Champions, Samoan SWAT team versus the Midnight Express. You'll get a good tag match, old school tag team wrestling at its finest. And I'm a fan of tag team wrestling, so this will even work out better for me. Old school tag team wrestling. And, I saw the hot tag, saw the tag partner holding the tag rope. All that stuff that I like to see was done in this match. So I encourage you to go watch this match. And just tell me what you think about it. After you watch it, jump back to WOD, Jump in the comments section. Tell me what you thought. You know, you may say it was a good match, or you may say it wasn't my forte. You know, I didn't like another match on that pay-per-view. But they had some good matches on that Clash of Champions. And I'm telling you, back then, the Clash of Champions in your house, they were money. I mean money. Because you got a good main event, and you didn't have to have a loaded card like on a premium live event. So you can have some underneath guys. I mean, you look at Clash of Champions before that, number 10, the St. Valentine's Massacre in Cleveland, Ohio. The main event was the Road Warriors versus Tenari and the Varsity Club. The Road Warriors and Tenari versus Varsity Club. Mike Rotunda, Kevin Sullivan, and Steve Dr. Del Williams. Wow. I definitely got to go watch that one right there, man. A lot of people don't even remember the Varsity Club. Dude, I remember watching them on WCW on my TV. They had the Junkyard Dog up there. The Fantastics. I mean, they had a lot of people. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Rick Steiner versus Rip Morgan. Lex Luger versus the Blackmailer. Masada out of New Japan. So, you know, you could have these shows that were filler shows to get you to a premium live event. Because back then, in those days, there was only 4 premium live events. If it was WCW, it was Great American Bash, Halloween Havoc, Starrcade, the main one. That was at WrestleMania. And what was the one before Starrcade? Slamboree, which TNA has about that Slammiversary on their show. They got the rights that day. But those were the big 4. That's all you got. You had Clash of the Champions that build up after maybe 2 months of build a story. They would do a Clash of Champions. Back in WWF, you had the big 4. We know them by heart. Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Mania. Well, Royal Rumble, Mania, SummerSlam, Survivor Series. Those were the big 4. And they had those in your house shows they ran in the 90s to get you to the big 4. So you may run 2 in your house premium live events at a lower rate, because I think those events were going for like 30. I remember buying those going for 30. Then you had your premium live event, your SummerSlam or your Mania or your Royal Rumble or your Survivor Series. So that was a good match to go back and jump in the time machine, watch. Definitely pay homage to the Samoa SWAT team, Offensico. Hey, those guys were just great. And they gave us Bloodline, and the Bloodline continues to keep giving at this time of day. I'm telling you, the Bloodline will be around for a long time. So many other people just lined up in the trenches, ready to make a debut on WWE. So you'll definitely see more of that. I mean, Hachi Peter Alder, they started a tradition, a style of wrestling that now Roman Reigns, the Usos, Jacob Fatu, Sol Sikoa have all carried this tradition to a new level, bringing in the Sons of Haku, Tama Tonga Tonga Low. Haku was feared in the Tongan Islands. Bringing them in, carrying it to a new level. I'm telling you, I'm waiting for, and it's going to happen. This is not a prediction. This is a spoiler. I'm waiting for Bad Luck Fale to show up in WWE with the Bloodline. And I think it would happen because you're starting to see, I'm already jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead. Now, this wasn't even a segment today, but I'm jumping ahead. But you're starting to see sprinkles being put out every week that Tama Tonga's going to turn on Solo Sikoa and take over the Bloodline. And when he does that, Bad Luck Fale and some of those guys from the Bullet Club, the door's going to be open to come to WWE. So that's happening right now. That's a spoiler. And we didn't even supposed to do that today on WOD. So before we do all-in picks, let's do all-in picks. Then we'll wrap up with that. Let's do all-in picks. So our all-in picks this week. All-in will be held in Wembley, in London, England, Wembley Stadium. Great venue to have all-in. And all-in AEW has did an outstanding job. Outstanding job getting us to all-in. And I hack on AEW so much. I hack on them. I heckle them so much. I hack and heckle on them because sometimes I get caught up that the WWE production is better than AEW. And I always said, if you want good wrestling, AEW, you're going to get it. Chain wrestling, strong style wrestling, bridge strong style wrestling, Japan strong style wrestling. You're going to get that on AEW. If you want good storytelling with a good payoff, WWE is the way to go. Long-time storytelling. We saw that with Roman Reigns as the champ. Finally, Cody overcoming the burden, winning the title that his daddy never held, the one Dusty never won. We saw that in WWE. 2 years they built that story. And a lot of people thought when they built that story, when Cody didn't win it the first time at Mania at 39, that it would be over. They built it again for another year and put Cody on a redemption tour of, I did not win. Roman didn't beat me cleanly, but I didn't win. I got to finish this story. And you saw Cody go on that hero's journey to get to that final moment where when he pinned Roman for the 1, 2, 3, he held that belt. Everybody ran in. All the baby faces ran in. The family came in. His mama handed him the belt. It was the ultimate payoff. He looked up to the skies. He saw Dusty saying, you did it, boy. I'm so proud of you. All of that. And Michael Cole did very good narrating that story. People do not give Michael Cole credit for the narration at the end of that match, telling all of that as it unfolded right before our eyes. And we saw Jim Ross do that a lot in WCW. But shout out to Cole. That's what you got with WWE. But AEW has taken a page out of the WWE playbook and has built up all of these matches to where you want to watch All In to see the payoff. And people always, and I was one of them, I heckled AEW for not being the storytelling franchise, for being the franchise that just gives you good wrestling and it's a bumpy ride. Hey, you got a good match out of it. Claudio's the champ. Now we're going to give the title to Eddie Kingston. It was a bumpy ride to get there, but you got a good match out of it. But AEW now is starting to tell great stories. And this build-up to this All In has been one of the best build-ups since the first All In that was built up on BT's YouTube channel. The other ones were good, but it just, you knew that match was going to happen. You knew you was going to get Kenny Ospreay. You knew you were going to get all that stuff. But this one, the stories have been told that you were like, I got to have it. So let's jump into these picks right here on WOD. Make sure you drop your picks in the comment box, and then we'll go back after All In is over with to see who had the picks right. You know, if I was wrong, I'm going to come back next week on WOD and say, man, I was way off. And then this person, hey, they had it right on the money. Or if I go perfect like I did at SummerSlam, I'm going to tell everybody I had it all right. So the first one we're going to do is the mixed tag team match. Chris Statler and Hathaway versus Willow Nightingale and Ishii. This is an easy one. Willow should win this match. But we should see something that causes Willow to start breaking away the bill towards that other match we want to see with the CMLL title. Jack Perry versus Darby Allin. If you've been watching the nightcap, they have been calling from four sides of the ring, mouthed off with Mike, podcast committee. Everybody has been calling for the glass coffin. If they do that, I'm telling you, that's going to be a banger, and this will be an instant classic. I said on the nightcap on Wednesday night, the scapegoat Jack Perry. I liked when he was Jungle Boy Jack. I always said he had the potential to be something in AEW. You just had to get Luchasaurus away from him and kind of have him break out on his own. Now, I didn't want to break out the way it happened with the CM Punk Fallout stuff, but it really was a blessing in disguise for him. And I was mad because we lost Punk at AEW, but hey, we got Punk back at WWE. So we as fans, we still won. Punk's still wrestling somewhere, but we can watch him on TV on a weekly basis. But I was like, man, maybe this Jack Perry guy can use this now as leverage to rebrand himself. And that's what he's done with this scapegoat. I think Jack Perry, he grows on me every week. He's starting to be a person that I'm on. When I'm watching AEW, I want to start seeing him on TV like I asked for every week with MJF. This is a good match. Darby Allin is undefeated in coffin matches. What would be the ultimate payoff to get Jack Perry up that next ladder, that next step on the ladder, by being the first guy to beat Darby Allin in a coffin match? After Darby Allin had him handcuffed, poured gas on him in the War Games match to be able to get this match. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm looking at the long-time future investment for these two people. Darby's made. He's a made guy. I think Darby now needs to get in that heavyweight AEW heavyweight title contention, or the Continental title contention later on. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Jack Perry gives Darby Allin his first ever loss in a coffin match. The Casino Gauntlet match, I already said who's going to win that, Hangman Page. And when Hangman Page wins this match and gets Swerve Strickland one-on-one, that's going to be another. They did good telling the story with that on the side with what Swerve's got going on. Hangman's been telling everybody, you guys cheer for this guy. He's not a good guy. Why are you cheering for him? And it's kind of like Swerve right now has that Stone Cold Steve Austin vibe to him. Remember when Stone Cold won the King of the Ring back in 96? And that's when the Stone Cold persona like really started turning, where you start seeing him become Stone Cold. Remember Bret Hart was a babyface, and Bret Hart was going out every week saying, why are you cheering this guy? He's a heel. You should not like him. You should cheer for me. Remember what really got Stone Cold over was when that face was bloody. He had the Crimson Tide mask in the sharpshooter, and the cameraman got that shot of him holding his face up, and people were cheering for him like, come on, Stone Cold, break the hold, beat Bret Hart. This is where you can take this Swerve and Hangman. You can take it there. You can start to get Hangman start going out. Why are you cheering for this guy? You should cheer for this guy. And you can even get Swerve even more over as a heel, where now we're showing up. You know, what does wrestling fans like more? Baby faces, heels, or the cool heels? We like the cool heels. The NWO, TX. That's the heels we like. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, they were cool heels. You wanted to be a part. You wanted to hang out with those guys. You were like, when you would watch Nitro, or when you watch WWF with DX with Triple H, Shawn Michaels, with Triple H and the New Age Outlaws and X-Pac, when you would watch that, you would say, if I'm going out after the wrestling show and I'm going to the local bar, or I'm going to the local pub or tavern, or I'm going to the Denny's or the Waffle House, these are the guys I want to bump into. These are the guys I want to hang with. I don't want to hang out with the Hart Foundation. Don't knock on the Hart Foundation. Love the Hart Foundation. Owen, Brett, Jim the Anvil, Davey Boy Smith, all them. Would have loved to bet those guys at the Waffle House, sat down and talked wrestling with them, and just got under the learning tree, if I can borrow Chris Jericho's line, got under the learning tree, just learned so much from them guys of what's going on, that what we as fans should be looking for. But if I'm going out to have a beer, and I'm going out to have some drinks, and have some fun, eat some wings, I want to hang with Kevin Nash. I want to hang with Scott Hall. I want to hang with DX. I want to hang with China. I want to hang with X-Pac, the New Age Outlaws, Billy Gunn, and Road Dogg. I want to hang with Triple H. I want to hang with Shawn Michaels. You know, it was just like when the Nation Domination was in that same role of they were getting that heel turn where they were getting The Rock made them cool. You wanted to hang with The Rock. When The Rock went to the corporation, you wanted to hang with The Rock. You wanted to go out with this guy. You wanted to wear Rolex and silk shirts. You wanted to see how it feels to be the champ for one day. That's where you can do with Swerve. You can have him where he's the cool heel and have Hangman become the baby face, and still have Hangman tell that story of, why do you cheer for this guy? He's no good. He's a bad guy. You should cheer for me. And then you can turn Hangman into the biggest heel after this run. So I'm taking Hangman to run the Casino Gauntlet. Now you got we talked about the learning tree. Let's go over to the learning tree. Chris Jericho, who I have become a fan of every week. 2 months ago, I was saying, man, please, Jericho, you know, you're on my top 5 of all time, the greatest of all time of GOATs when it comes to wrestling. He's in my top 5. And I was saying to myself, please, Jericho, it's time. But the more I watch Jericho, the more I watch these promos. This is the guy you need to get hooked to that next level. And I talked about it on WoD last week with JYD and the Freebirds of what could have been done. You still can do this and get Hook somebody that can talk for Hook. He needs a manager. Give Hook a manager. Put him with his dad. Taz can talk. Put him with Taz. Put him with anybody. But give him somebody who can talk for him. But I want to see Jericho. If Hook loses this match, he cannot challenge for the FTW Championship as long as Jericho's the champ. Let Jericho win. Let Hook go on now to start competing for a mid-title. Have Jericho drop this title sooner or later. and then have Hook go back again to say, I brought the FTW Championship back, and I'm also the champ right here, Ring of Honor champ or the AEW mid-card champ. You can do that with Hook right now. So let Jericho win this one. I'm taking Jericho. Now, we're starting to get down to the other matches where we got some titles on the line. Let's jump to the Young Bucks versus FTR versus the Acclaim. I said on the nightcap last week that the Acclaim probably cut one of the best promos I heard them cut in a long time. It was a good promo, and I was really shocked because we keep saying that these guys got to get more serious for us to take them seriously. So we're seeing that. So you got the Young Bucks who I'm tired of seeing on my TV. God knows I'm just tired of Bucks. Like, it was a time where I used to love to watch the Bucks on TV, but now even the kids are like, Young Bucks again? This match right here should be FTR versus the Acclaim, and it should be a banger. But we have the Bucks in it. I would say put the belts on FTR, give FTR a good run, then have them put over the Acclaim. So I'm taking FTR to win the match, but long time story building, have FTR put over the Acclaim in a couple of months. So now to the trios match. Departure Tree, Christian Cage, Kill Switch, Nick Wayne versus the Bang Bang Gang, Juice Robinson, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn. I love the Guns. Love Juice Robinson. Versus the House of Black, Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. Versus Pac and the Blackpool Combat Club, Kato Castellani and Will Yater. Too many tag teams. So, who do you pick to win this match? I'm going with the Bang Bang Gang all the way. Bang Bang Gang wins the titles back. Be a good match right here. I feel like a four-way London ladder match. You got to do something big to get the crowd going. This probably will be a good opening match right here to get the crowd going, to get them going into AEW All In. But I'm going with the Bang Bang Gang to win this one. All right, so now getting down to the three main events. Let's go with the main, which could have been the main event, but the other two matches got just a little bit more weight on. Well, let's go with this match. Then we'll go to the one that could have been the main event. Mercedes Moné versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Mercedes got to win this one. She's got to win it. Britt's been carrying this thing the whole time since it started. Mercedes has to win this one and wait to give Britt the payoff later on. So Mercedes wins this one. Now let's go to our three main events. Timeless Tony versus the Glamour Mariah May. And AEW has did a great job building this up for us as fans to watch. Great match right here. Didn't like what happened on Wednesday night. Like I said, I talked about it earlier on the show. Go back and watch that. Go back, rewind to that. Or go back and watch WoD. Or go back and watch Nightcap, I meant, to hear my comments on that. Timeless Tony retains. I think Timeless Tony finds a way to retain the title. And if it was ever a better time to put this title on Mariah May, this will be the show. But can you see Mariah May, with all the work she's done building up this, can she carry this title for Timeless Tony to win it back? I'm taking Timeless Tony. I'm not picking against my girl. I'm taking Timeless Tony. MJF versus Will Ospreay for the AEW American or European Championship, whichever one you want to call it. MJF has just been carrying this. Him and Will Ospreay have just been fire every week. He's brought the best out of Ospreay. Ospreay's brought the best out of MJF. The hour banger match they had on AEW was great. Ospreay is in his backyard. Ospreay should win this one. This was Ospreay all the way. This is his to win. And this is the perfect time to have MJF drop a title to somebody who he's really helped elevate to put over. Ospreay should win this one. Now to the main event. Swerve Strickland versus Bryan Danielson, title versus career. Is it time for Bryan Danielson to hang it up? Or will we continue to see the title reign of Swerve? Are we still in the Swerve Strickland era? I don't think it's time for Danielson to hang it up. I think that promo Danielson cut on Wednesday night was how you end a go-home show. Swerve has brought a fire back out of Danielson we haven't seen in years. Danielson should win this match. And we should see the yes movement after the match. Everybody chanting yes. Confetti falling, the locker room clearing out. We should see it. Danielson goes over Swerve and wins the AEW title. and begins that ride. Begins that ride off into the sunset where, this could be the final year and a half that we see Danielson on as a full-time wrestler. So this should be the payoff to go ahead and start that ride right there. So that was it for all my AEW picks. Make sure you put those in the comment box. Let me know what you think. And we will definitely be checking that out. And don't forget to tune into the day count right here as the AEW All In ends. We'll be not doing the nightcap, but we'll be doing the day cap edition on that Sunday morning. Well, Sunday morning for you, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening for me. We'll be doing that on AEW on that Sunday. This is Shawn. I'm getting ready to sign off. We want to thank everybody for tuning in to Boom Broadcast, and we will see you next week on WoD.